The Weld County Sheriff already had a strong opinion on Colorado's red flag law. Then an inmate tried to use it to go after him.
He'd have loved the honor. I think he would have been amazed at all the people that were here.
A veteran from Colorado who everyone thought had no family left just got a final goodbye we should all be worthy of.
We walked down the jetway, they opened the door, and there was Wellington Webb, Roy Romer, and Federico Pena.
A welcome to Denver unlike any other. And there's plenty of room for middle ground in Colorado politics. That and your best captions next. One of the state's biggest opponents of the red flag law just had a red flag petition filed against him. An inmate in the Weld County Jail thought Weld County Sheriff Steve Reams and his officers are a threat. So the inmate filed an extreme risk protection order, which allows for weapons to be taken from someone who is deemed a threat. Reams has long spoken out against red flag laws, saying they could be used frivolously, and he posted about this case on his Facebook page. A judge threw the case out without a hearing because the inmate did not prove the threat. Now, depending where you stand on the red flag law, this is either proof, yeah, the system works, or proof of how it can be abused.
It was a huge waste of my time, but I think it was an even bigger waste of the court's time. I can't imagine that the chief judge had to stop what he was doing, because these cases become priority. He had to stop what he was doing and focus in on something that was pretty much on face value. It was obvious that this wasn't a valid red flag petition. I think people who support the red flag law will say, well, you weren't actually red flagged. The system worked. The judge didn't go to a hearing. My problem is that this inmate was able to at least petition the courts and provide that he believes he has standing.
Part of the extreme risk protection order requires the person to say how they're related to the person they want weapons taken away from. In this case, the inmate checked the box, I regularly reside or have regularly resided with the sheriff and his jail deputies within the last 6 months. When the judge threw this out, it wasn't even about proving that relationship. It was simply about not proving a threat. You can expect a district attorney to be the one filing the charges. I mean, that's how it works in law and order and in real life. But today, one of Colorado's district attorneys is facing charges herself. Brittany Luton, the district attorney for 6 northeastern Colorado counties, was just indicted by a grand jury on 4 counts. There's not a lot of detail, but we know it involves prescription drugs. She turned herself into the Logan County Jail today and was released. Luton has been the DA in northeastern Colorado since 2012. The top attorney in her office, she now needs her own. Former Boulder County DA Stan Garnett, who is now in private practice, is her lawyer. And we asked him today if his client actually did do something wrong. Should she still be a district attorney?
No district attorney is perfect. And the history of Colorado shows that. A district attorney is held to a very high standard of conduct, of ethics, of behavior. And there are certain things that a district attorney could do that should prevent that person from being district attorney. That's not what's involved in this case.
Governor Jared Polis issued an executive order in August asking for the Attorney General to investigate Luton. She remains DA today. She can only be removed from office 3 ways: impeachment, if she loses her license to practice law, or if voters recall her. Fact: no confirmed cases of coronavirus in Colorado, but there are some in Abu Dhabi. How do we get from Colorado to Abu Dhabi so quickly? Well, there's a journalist there quarantined right now waiting for test results. Dane Cash is the editor of Cycling Tips, a website that covers bike races. He was in the United Arab Emirates to cover a 7-day race, which quickly became a 5-day race. 2 race team staff members from Italy tested positive for coronavirus. Now, Cash doesn't know how long he'll be there, and as of right now does not know his health status. Cyclists are locked down in one hotel, Cash and other media in another.
Nobody really seems to know what the protocol, what the plan is going to be. If, in fact, all of these tests come back negative, which hopefully they will, nobody seems to know exactly what that means for us. It could be that this time tomorrow we're fine and out of here and preparing to fly back and be good to go. We're not sure. I think that the concern is that if there are tests that come back non-negative, that we'll have to be here for quite a while.
He says he has not shown any symptoms and says neither has anyone else in the hotel he's staying at. It's a little after 5 a.m. there right now, so hopefully he's resting and we'll know his results soon. It is too late to put your mail-in ballot in the mail. I'm an unaffiliated voter, so I have both if I can pull them apart. Don't do it. You need to drop it in a ballot box, or you can still vote in person. Just check the locations that are included with your ballot. It tells you where you can drop them off. Of the two primaries, it's the Democratic one that will have the most attention to see who Colorado supports to take on President Trump. It's why a Louisville-based polling firm recently conducted a poll on the Democratic Party. Magellan Strategies polled 500 people by cell phone and landline on Monday and Tuesday. 350 were Democrats, 150 were unaffiliateds who said they were voting in the Democratic primary. Those 500 people were asked if they would be voting for Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Mike Bloomberg, Amy Klobuchar, Tom Steyer, or someone else. 27% said Sanders. The next closest was Warren at 15%. 13% were still undecided, and 2% who answered the phone refused to answer the question. Based on the poll, Sanders is widely popular with 18 to 44-year-olds with a 29% lead over Warren, but he's the fourth choice for voters 65 and older, behind Bloomberg, Biden, and undecided. Of the 500 people polled, more than half found it more important to vote for someone they think can beat President Trump instead of voting for someone who aligns with their values. Some quick history on Magellan. It's a conservative-leaning firm based in Colorado. Conservative, so why should we believe their results for the Democrats? I'll point out, in 2018, when Magellan polls showed bad news for Republicans, Magellan still released the results. They could have hid them, but they didn't. Check back on Tuesday and we'll compare the notes. It's official. Democratic Senator Michael Bennet has gone from one campaign to another. He ended his presidential campaign after barely making a mark in the New Hampshire primary, and now he's filed his candidacy paperwork for re-election in 2022. Though his website has conflicting messages, with both Bennet for America still there and some Bennet for Colorado references. Speaking of senators running for re-election in Colorado, how about this photo from Jess Davidson taken on a flight from D.C. to Denver yesterday afternoon? Someone did sit between the two senators, and we want to know who you are, or if you know them, please get information to us to let us know who they are. Jess tells us passengers chatted up the senators as they were waiting to deplane. From planes to trains, both Gardner and Bennet today announced a grant from the Department of Transportation to enhance train crossings in Longmont to allow for quiet zones so that the trains won't have to sound their horns. On that note, even though I know someone sat in that middle seat, help me name the quiet zone between the two senators. Text me your captions to 303-871-1491. It might be the most important flight to ever land at DIA, and Dan Bennett was not going to miss an opportunity to be on it.
I've been fascinated by airlines, especially airline history and memorabilia.
A soldier deployed in Kuwait for 9 months delivers today's good news.
Hey, babe.
And a veteran's funeral is the site of a long overdue family reunion. Next.
Welcome to Friday. We started off this week with cold wind and snow, but we certainly didn't end the week that way, with temperatures close to 60. And you know what? The average is actually 50 degrees this time of year. So we're running above average. And with high pressure coming into Colorado and the storm track to the north, we have another day tomorrow of sunshine and above average readings. But there's a storm system looming on the horizon. High and mid-level clouds will be coming in ahead of it tomorrow. There are no advisories for travel, but just notice there's a few clouds by Saturday, 6 a.m. We're dry in the afternoon. By Sunday at 6 a.m., the mountains start to see the snow. By Sunday at 6 p.m., rain and snow in Denver. That snow continues overnight through the drive on Monday morning, with light accumulation expected for the first Monday in March. Here we go again. Fair skies and 28 tonight, dry and mild for your Saturday. Above average highs in the lower 60s. We'll hit 50 with increasing clouds Sunday. Rain by 3, snow by 5, accumulating snow by 7 p.m. Snow ends Monday morning, and then we get into a beautiful week with temperatures back in the 60s by Thursday and Friday for many areas, Marshall. But March is starting to look a lot like February. What gives?
And then we have that time change to look forward to next week.
Oh, right. There's that, too.
I'm getting too far ahead of myself. Thanks, Kathy. He had no known family and only few friends. But today, hundreds of people stood in the cold to say goodbye to a man who served his country. Steve Steger and photojournalist Chris Hansen traveled to Casper, Wyoming to meet them.
Honor is not sought by those who serve.
A very loving community, very loving. They care a lot about their veterans.
But honor is always shown to those who have earned it.
Casper is just so amazing.
Casper was home to Corporal Ray Barilla.
Everyone has a story. Everyone has a point in time where they were born, they had a family. That story for every person should be told. That's it. And unfortunately, you don't always know the details of that story.
Details. Ray Barilla was a Marine in World War II, a corporal who lived to 101.
He was a sheep herder, and he was a veteran.
It was Joey Quesada's job as funeral director to find Ray's family.
It can be difficult both emotionally and physically to try and locate people.
After 2 weeks of searching, he had no luck.
Those situations are difficult, but unfortunately, it happens.
No family to attend a veteran's funeral.
They deserve that honor. They put their life on hold, served our country, and they deserve the honors that are afforded them when they pass away.
But remember, this is Casper.
My hope for Ray today is that he's just proud, as we are of him.
Mr. Barilla served in World War II from 1942 to 1946.
Honor. Today it could be measured by the lack of seats available in the chapel.
But we here today demonstrate that here in Wyoming, our veterans are never alone.
By the crowds of hundreds outside who stood when they couldn't get in.
If that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, buddy, I don't know. That's amazing.
And by the emotions of the man who knew Ray Barilla best.
Ray was one of my tenants.
Landlord perhaps isn't the best way to describe Randy Knutson.
Because that was the only family he had.
He watched over Ray in these final years.
I know that he was very recluse. He didn't like to be around people at all.
Randy never expected a crowd like this for his friend who liked to keep to himself.
And Joey and me, we figured we were going to be the only ones here.
But social media spread the word and the photo.
We recognized them in the picture. In the picture, it looks just like my grandpa.
The photo is the reason Randy had company in the front row.
Ray Remigio is my uncle. He's my mom's brother. And we have been looking for him for a long time.
Anita Colon says her Uncle Ray joined the Marines when she was 10 and never returned. She remembers her mother crying, desperately searching for her brother.
I'm feeling overwhelmed. I feel happy. I feel happy because I feel like my mom is happy because she finally found him.
Ray Barilla never sought this kind of attention.
Just amazed. Made me want to cry that there's that many people that cared about somebody that didn't think he had a friend in the world.
But in the end, honor is always shown to those who earn it.
He'd have loved the honor. I think he would have been amazed at all the people that were here.
It's Good News Friday. Today comes to us from Anna Wallen, who, along with her kids, got to see someone they hadn't seen in a long while.
Hey, babe.
I knew it!
Welcome home, buddy. Welcome home. Excuse me. I give a little secret for you. Is there a Lolo in here?
There is. Lord, who's that? Oh my goodness. Oh. Who is that baby girl? Jack, who is
Hi, guys. Master Sergeant Aaron Wallen was deployed to Kuwait for the last 9 months. He surprised his wife at her work last Friday because, you know, good news on Fridays. And then the two of them went to their kids' preschool in Golden. 4-year-old Lauren and 2-year-old Jack seemed both shocked and excited to have Dad back. 25 years ago today, Dan Bennet hopped a flight from Colorado Springs to Denver. Now, at the time, I-25 probably would have been faster, but then he would have missed the news cameras, people toasting champagne, even a celebrity, Captain L. Ray Jeppeson. It was the first flight to ever fly into DIA, and Dan talked with our Tom Cole about what it was like to be part of history.
Those are all models that I flew on. That is a captain's cap from 1968. I've been fascinated by airlines, especially airline history and memorabilia. My name's Dan Bennet, and I was on the first flight to DIA in United Airlines in 1995. I thought it would be great to be at the airport and be part of an opening of a major airport, because that's really rare. So I called up a friend in Miami and said, can you help me get on this plane? And through some magic, I got an actual seat as a revenue passenger. The thing I remember the most was meeting Captain Jeppeson and his wife. Very tiny man, really cool guy, very friendly, very interested when you were talking to him. That is the medallion from the dignitary dinner that Captain Jeppeson sent me. That's the first approach map into Denver, and we were all given one of those folded up as a souvenir of the flight. Captain Jeppeson sent me an air map, and it said, Dr. Dan, best wishes. If you ever get lost, call me, Captain Jep. I share with my staff that I was one of the first passengers at DIA on the first flight, and I started showing them all the memorabilia, and I thought, this is unique. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they said, share it. I think what interested me the most was a brand new airport of that scale, and I got to be there.
A quick shout out to our colleagues Aaron and Allie. They have so much great content for the 25th anniversary of DIA's opening. Make sure you check out their article on 9news.com, the 113 interesting facts about the airport. Allie also spent 12 hours under the tent there. May or may not have seen our alien friend. They wrote about it online. Definitely worth your time. We jump into the weekend with the most Colorado thing I saw today, and it's not too late to hear your caption next. The most Colorado thing we saw today. Some kids jumping for joy that the temperature got above freezing yesterday. Our temperatures in the 40s weren't enough to melt the snow on this trampoline in Green Mountain, but that didn't matter much to Evan and Jackson. As long as the sun's out, trampoline's out. Thanks, Jennifer, for sending these with warmer temperatures along the way. I'm sure they'll be back out there tomorrow. If you see something that's so Colorado, you just have to share it with us. Email next@9news.com or the hashtag HeyNext. Back to the caption contest. We've seen both sides of this. One, I'm impressed that the two of them sat in the same row. That's kind of kind. Another one, Gardner, got any threes? Bennett, go fish. The void of bipartisanship, or ew cooties. And then stuck in the middle with you. I want to sing, but there was nobody in the middle in that shot. We'll see you next time. Maybe I'll sing later.